Welcome to the show, everyone. Well, there are three major news events that could have dramatic effects on Polkadex in the future of cryptocurrency. There's Polkadot Decoded this week, final Testnet, which is coming, and then, of course, Mainnet. Now, don't worry if you don't know what any of these are. We're going to be talking about all of that. We're going to deep dive these topics today. But if you do know what these are, great. You're one step ahead of some of our audience. That's okay. We're going to deep dive a lot of that and so much more, and we thought it made perfect sense to invite the Executive Director of Polkadex on the show right now to answer everything Polkadex related, Polkadot, and just the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem right now on the show. And that's Vivek Prasnannan, who is welcoming into the show. Vivek, great to have you here on Morning Invest.
Thanks for having me, Clayton. Nice to be here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. You guys have been super busy. It's a very busy week for you. So thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to speak with us. Really appreciate that. Now, our audience is made up of a lot of experienced traders, people who would like to make money off of cryptocurrency, people who are also deeply passionate about how this ecosystem affects the future of currency and monetary policy around the world. And then there are those who literally have no idea what we're talking about. And so what I want to do is kind of help navigate that for both of our audiences today who are watching. So right now, tell us about Polkadex. What is Polkadex? And more broadly, then, of course, what is Polkadot? Why do those two work hand in hand? Can you give us a sense of this so we can dive a little deeper?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So anyway, first of all, thanks for having me, and can you give me an opportunity to explain what Polkadex is? And so essentially, Polkadex is a cryptocurrency exchange for any layman out there who's new to crypto. It's a cryptocurrency exchange. But at the same time, behind the scenes, it functions differently, where you hold custody of your funds. You basically do not surrender your private keys to a centralized operator, and you're able to trade, with all the security that comes with the decentralized environment behind it, which means you're essentially trading peer-to-peer. Your funds are getting transferred from your wallet to the buyer's wallet or seller's wallet, instead of going into the centralized operator. So that's the basic difference between a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange. And why we're building on Polkadot is because the core functionalities that we're trying to bring in is available in the framework that Polkadot functions. It's called Substrate. And we were able to achieve the goals that we had in mind using this programmable interface that's Substrate.
When we talk about the larger, like I said, people watching my show some have made money on cryptocurrency, some have invested in Polkadex, and for full transparency, I'm a huge believer in Polkadex. That's one of the reasons I've wanted to have you on the show. My audience knows I've been bullish on what you guys have been doing for months on my show. So, there are people that just want to make money on cryptocurrency and understand that piece of it, but there's also the other side, which is the future of currency, the future of monetary policy, helping people who are unbanked in regions around the world who otherwise wouldn't have access to get a leg up. Where does Polkadex fit into all of that?
Yeah, exactly. So that is why Polkadex is slightly different from other decentralized exchanges, in the sense that we are having a broader vision of bridging the regular financial market with crypto, right? At the same time, provided the kind of security it needs to buy and hold crypto. So right now, if you go to a regular user of any financial products to get into crypto, he has to essentially trust a bigger exchange or a centralized exchange, and it is inherently very insecure. Basically, if anything goes down with the exchange, your funds are at risk. So you should be, taking control of the funds after you buy it from these exchanges. So it's exactly why we wanted to, make this exchange have an interface with the traditional finance by having fiat bridges with, institutional markets, institutional money, which will actually help people to get onboarded to the, to hold custody of crypto assets. So, and also it is a matter of a feeling of having peer-to-peer transaction where you are not relinquishing control of your asset to a centralized party. So if you're trying to buy any asset from me, you're basically transferring it to me directly instead of having a central person holding it for you and then agreeing to complete that transaction. So that's the difference what decentralized exchanges and decentralized institutions can bring to the society, right? It can make it more, transactions can go cheaper, and it can be more available, and to a far greater extent, censorship resistant as well. You basically have more control on your what you're doing in peer-to-peer.
This was a big week. The Polkadot Decoded event, just 2 days away. This is going to be big. For our audience that isn't familiar what this is a 2-day event with workshops, talks, all focused around the Polkadot ecosystem. What are you guys planning? What are you expecting from this event?
Well, this event is basically to bring together the Polkadot community and showcase to the world what they're, all of these projects are building on top of it, right? So you have selected and curated projects which will present their projects to the whole world, and people can actually listen to what we are building. And it's a great community because it's the biggest advantage of building in with a substrate and Polkadot essentially is the way how the scalability of blockchains are taken to a different level, and people are now dreaming about Internet of blockchains, which essentially used to be similar to what the Internet used to be as segregated networks, right? And it had to have a TCP/IP or some sort of a protocol to stitch it all together. And that's a sort of environment, or that sort of vision that Polkadot has, and you're able to create projects which are really was not possible before, with a composability of what you have in Substrate as a framework that comes with Polkadot, and relying on Polkadot as a shared security model and focusing more on your application. And so there are some exciting projects, some really great ideas that are being put together by teams. So you can, if you go to Polkadot Decoded, you can see and listen to what these people are building. And I'm so happy that Polkadex is one of the projects that will be showcasing our product, Decoded.
Wonderful. I want people to take a look at their screen. This is Testnet, right? If you go to Polkadex.trade, you can see right here, Testnet is coming soon. So let's talk about Testnet and why this is so important to the future of Polkadex.
Yeah, any blockchain that you try to build and try to program your logic on it, and before it goes live, it's like a beta stage or a prototype stage where you test the functionalities of the blockchain before it goes to the public. So that's essentially the testnet. So for Polkadex, we had 2 versions of testnet before we actually decided to go with the final one. The first 2 of them, if you go to the recent Medium article that we have published, you can clearly see what was achieved in those testnets, and also see a snapshot or a video of this testnet on our YouTube channel, where you can take a look at and see how the Substrate runtime was utilized for performing on-chain trade settlement. And all of the benchmark results that we received from the testnet version 1 and testnet version 2 was utilized for creating the present architecture we have with the trusted enclaves. It's probably a little bit too technical for someone who is new to crypto, but what we're essentially trying to do is to secure your transactions, without having a central party to control your funds. So your funds remain with you, and at the same time, you have the convenience of using mobile or desktop or different channels to interact with this platform. And there are other decentralized exchanges in the past. The problem with them have been scalability, right? You cannot place transactions fast enough to make any profit, right? For example, someone who is used to trading bots, or someone who is used to trading with charts, with different signals, decentralized exchanges simply cannot hold the kind of throughput and latency that is needed to place quick trades and get out. For example, if you want to trade with 1-minute candles, 5-minute candles, very difficult. So that's what we're trying to solve here by having an architecture that'll have a central, basically an operator with no custody of your funds. So he'll simply facilitate the trade, and even if the operator goes away, or if the person who is, he's hacked or any security compromise happens, your funds are completely safe. You can withdraw it, and there are certain programmed mechanisms that we are trying to build into it, which will help you to recover the funds in a matter of, 12 seconds.
Wow.
It's self-healing kind of network. Yeah, it takes care of itself.
Wow. When we look at, and I'm going to pull this up here on the screen here, a friend of mine sent me this morning, which is the difference is you're comparing Polkadex to the top 5 decentralized exchanges. And this is pretty amazing. So if you have Polkadex here at the top, you have and you compare these across like to Uniswap, SushiSwap, et cetera, 1inch, PancakeSwap, Bancor. I mean, this looks accurate to you, right? Feeless transactions. Why is that important?
Feeless transactions is very important because right now, anybody who trades in Uniswap or any other swap mechanism that we have today in a decentralized network, right? I'm not calling out other networks which are sort of centralized. You can have, very few validators and create a network and call it decentralized, but it is not. So if you want a truly decentralized network to handle feeless transactions, Polkadot as a shared security model can actually allow the parachains or chains that are actually getting connected to it offer this as a solution to the problem that we have in Uniswap today, right? So feeless swap means you can basically go ahead and swap without any network fees. Like you're paying $100 for a swap, it's zero. Yeah. If you hold a specific number of tokens, it's free for you.
Let's talk about the order book. When you compare, just a few of these exchanges have order book. I mean, SushiSwap, but no one else has an order book. You guys do. Why is an order book important?
Order book is very important for a traditional trader, right? Someone who's really used to trading. He is more into, he wants to make profit when the market moves, right? He wants to take his position and quickly get in and get out. So that's not really possible with swaps. You can have things like slippage and impermanent loss and a lot of things. So order book solves all these problems. And order book has been the traditional way to trade, right? And the swap mechanisms that we have today are kind of a compromise we have made to have these systems in place in a decentralized, environment. So our goal has been always to, push that limit and see how we can actually make it more, make an order book possible. At the same time, make it non-custodial, so that people have the same kind of security at the same time able to place trades with charts. I mean, I don't know if you've tried to trade in any of the exchanges, but I've been a casual trader, so we know that the kind of thing that you could do with the order book exchange is very different to what you can actually do with the swap mechanism. Right.
And one of the areas you guys stand out in as well is Fiat On Ramping. One of the big, trying to get actual fiat into these environments is frustrating. I get emails from my viewers all the time, like, how do I do this? How do I get? And so that's a big piece of what you guys are able to do as well, Fiat On Ramping. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Fiat On Ramping is synonymous with what we spoke about in the beginning, about having the people who are not very well versed with crypto to come and start using it. At the same time, not having any of these risks of using a random centralized exchange and then trusting that centralized exchange to hold your funds. Because most of these people who are new to crypto, they don't really go ahead and buy a hardware wallet or anything like that when they start doing stuff, right? They just buy and just leave it on the exchange. And many people are even still comfortable leaving it on centralized exchanges. I mean, you can talk the n number of exchanges that you have in market today, so many of them, right? So it's kind of insecure to leave crypto assets because it's highly regulated in many of the areas. And if you lose your funds if the exchange goes bust or any kind of security compromise happens, and with the best of intentions, they may be doing it well, but whenever you have a honeypot situation, hackers will obviously attempt to hack it. And you are actually putting your funds at risk. So this is an opportunity where, for the first time, we wanted to bridge it to a regular banking channel and see that part of the exchange as regulated and have these funds come in. And probably that is the only area that needs to be probably centralized, because it is actually interacting with the centralized institution. But once the asset comes inside Polkadex, then it is like, again, peer-to-peer. You don't have to worry about your funds. You can maybe directly have it in your wallet. It just gets deposited into your wallet. And if you have a hardware wallet, it just goes directly into your address.
Nice.
So it's secure. You don't have to move it anywhere.
Alex Becker, and I agree with him this week. I don't know if you saw his tweets, YouTuber, and he said, DOT looks to be beginning its pump. Polkadex is undervalued. He's tweeted multiple times. He said it's one of the most undervalued right now, along with other projects in the DOT ecosystem. Do you think Polkadex is wildly undervalued?
I'm not really, I do not want any speculation to the token price, because it comes with a lot of, I would leave that to the market. I don't really want to comment
so no,
on the price.
You're not going to give me price targets? No price targets today?
We don't have it at all, because we know clearly that Polkadex token has its own utility and its own reasonably well predicted velocity, how it's going to function when the network operates, right? But it would be quite speculative if I put a price on it, right? I think the market will decide by itself. Doesn't matter.
Well, we'll get to Mainnet in a second, but I want to talk about, you guys did an AMA recently where tokenomics really came up. That was a big question. First of all, what is tokenomics? And then we'll get into why were there so many questions around tokenomics?
Yeah, people who are mostly into retail trading and speculation, right? They wanted to know whether the token itself is scarce, whether it will be, there will be a big, availability of token, or somebody will dump it, or they want to know where the tokens are, right? Since it's a blockchain, you can basically go and see who holds these tokens, right, and how it is distributed, and you cannot hide that. So that's the transparency that comes with blockchain tokens. So they want to know who is holding it, and if there is a big whale or someone who is able to influence the network, right? If one person is able to influence the network, that is an inherent risk to the project, right? So they want to know whether it is sufficiently decentralized. They want to know where the money is going, and they want to know for what purpose it was raised, how much was raised, and how much is in the treasury, and how much of influence the governance will have on the future role of the project. So they want to know how much money the treasury holds. So all of these things are very important for not only an investor, but for anyone who's participating in a blockchain network. So it should be very clear. And that's why, initially there was a lot of confusion, even though we had an outline in the website. We had to create another Medium article and, maybe make it a bit more descriptive.
So what were some of the things that you needed to make a little bit more descriptive? And I have here on your Medium post, 9% of the founders in the team. You have a 7% seed round. What were some of the things you felt needed more clarification?
I think the people wanted to know more on the vesting schedule and how it exactly functions. And it's pretty much clear from this. But I think people are trying to figure out how many of the tokens will be available after a specific time frame, right? For example, 6 months from now, 1 year from now. It's easy to calculate based on the, if you do some math, you can easily get the numbers from this, whatever we have in the document.
Right.
But that's probably what people are, because some people are confused whether all of the 20 million will be available initially, but it's not, it's hardly like 50% is going to be, because the rest of them is locked.
And so that's the total fixed supply is 20 million, right? That's not changing. That's what it is. Exactly.
It's a self-correcting mechanism by the blockchain where it will always make sure that it's 20 million. It'll automatically burn it and bring it back to 20 if it goes above. So it's actually inflationary, but it is self-correcting.
And how much is in supply right now? This 1.9?
Right now it's 1.9 million. Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 10% is in supply.
What about the big whale question? Is there a big whale holding it? Were you able to answer that?
No, we don't have any big whale that will affect the market in any way. It's properly distributed because we had this cap size. We made sure that nobody could invest more than a specific number. We were very, very particular about that. Though initially we thought of getting it away with the fundraise, but But it's good that we did that. We don't have any single person owning a large chunk, because it's also in phases, right? 7% seed, then comes the private, then comes the other round. So everybody gets a small portion of it. So it's just a very small percentage of the whole thing.
Let's talk about Mainnet. Why all eyes on what happens with Mainnet? First of all, we talked about Testnet. That's been going well. Tell us about Mainnet, why this is so important to the future of Polkadex.
Of course, Mainnet is the main product, right? You are basically opening up the network to the public, and from that point, it's its own baby, right? Even we have limited control on the network. That's how blockchains operate. It's decentralized, so it needs to be secure, and it needs to hold the value that it is actually giving to the public. It should be able to hold that value, which means that it should be resistant to attacks. And the product that runs on top of it, which is the application of the exchange itself, will be relying on this network to function. So we will be launching most of these features that we advertised as part of the the initial milestones in the mainnet, so people can start trading and start using them right away. But we'll have several iterations before that. We'll have the testnet, and we'll have a build-up where we make sure that every stage we have these, especially Polkadex is a chain, or even if it becomes a parachain, it's going to have interaction with different other blockchains. Like, for example, we have bridges to Ethereum, we have bridges to other parachains, and with Polkadot, with other assets coming through Polkadot. So we need to make sure that everything is working fine and smooth, because this is you're not talking about valuable assets, right, being traded. So we want to make sure that everything goes well before we go for the mainnet.
Well, good luck on Mainnet. So we'll, of course, watching it very, very closely, and again, we're very bullish on it. I asked our community a few questions, and they had some questions for you. They wanted to know about developers. How many developers? They want to know about your team at Polkadex. How many developers and other roles do you have working on this right now?
Yeah, we have 5 full-time developers, and we're hiring 2 more. And a couple of them are working on bridges, and the other, couple of them are working on the Substrat T environment, the TEE, Trusted Enclave environment, and then we have one of them on the parachain. So we want to have more people. So most likely we'll hire 2 more engineers in the next 1 month to speed up the parachain process.
Let's talk about marketing a little bit, Vivek. We mentioned Medium. That's been a place, obviously, you guys have been posting. What sort of marketing channels will Polkadex be utilizing? LinkedIn, Medium, something else?
It'll be a combination of everything, right? It will be obviously LinkedIn and Medium and Twitter and our Telegram, where our community is mostly focused on, would be the primary place of distribution of whatever information we have. And the external distribution would happen through ambassadors and people who believe in our project, and the influencers who believe in our project, who wants to showcase what we are trying to do. And then it would also be partnerships with exchanges who wants to have programs we may be allowing people to stake, and also we have a staking program at the moment going on in KuCoin. And there will also be a parachain related, the auction, dot auction, right? So all of these are big events that will give a lot of opportunity for the community to participate and get engaged with what we are trying to build and try and support. So these are the things we will be having as a part of marketing. And we have a full-time marketing officer, right? So she joined 1 month ago. So whatever she's trying to do is showing results right now.
That's right. And hey, we're doing a show, right, as a result. So we're already seeing some of this in play, right? And I want to talk about, you mentioned KuCoin. That's where, of course, I've taught my audience, that's where you can find Polkadex. Let's talk about some of the other exchanges. What are your plans for the other big exchanges?
We're not very aggressive on this because we feel that our community has a place to acquire and do what they want to do with. I think most likely we have a partnership coming up, Gate. That was very organic, which happened on the sites. So that's going to happen. And we are in discussion with all the, I would say, the top 5 exchanges. So let's see how it goes. I mean, when the time is right. It's not about listing everywhere. It's also about building communities. So we want to make sure that demographically, we want to distribute so that there's enough participation from different regions, right? Yeah.
Binance, I imagine, is in that mix.
I wouldn't comment, but we are in talks with everyone. Yep.
Okay. So, what's next for you guys? Obviously, we've got the big event this week, and then Testnet, and then Mainnet. So you've got a very busy spring into summer here. Where do you see Polkadex going over the next 12 months? If you and I catch up a year from now, well, how do you hope Polkadex will have matured at that point?
Polkadex would, in 1 year, be doing at least 100 million in trading volume. That's the target, if things go well, yeah. With the tech stack that we're building, and if it holds up and, looks like it's going to shaping up really well, and we should be doing at least 100 million trading volume in 1 year.
100 million trading volume. When Mainnet launches, where do you think you'll be with trading volume on day one? What do you have internal targets where you hope trading volume will be on Mainnet launch day one?
We have a very approximate, internal target, which is like, maybe 5 to 10 million would be good to start off with, so that it just picks up from there.
5 to 10 million with the launch of Mainnet. 100 million a year from now. It's going to be an exciting 2021.
Yes, that's what we're. Let's try and make it happen, right? We have a goal, so it's very clear. So just try and do it.
Perfect. Any ground we didn't cover that you wanted to cover here from your AMA session the other day that you felt needed more clarification for our audience, people who are watching this very closely?
Nothing really. I think I would encourage people to join Twitter and Telegram to get the latest updates that we are trying to push, and also try to be part of all the events that we are participating, especially the Polkadex Decoded talk that's coming in from Gautam. Gautam's going to present and tell everyone how exactly we are going to make it happen, right, with the high frequency trading order book. And because people are so confused about how we're going to achieve it. So there is some basic fundamentals behind it, right? So they need to try and see in layman terms, right, just an overview of how we are going to put it together. You can see that happening on the day of the event. So that'll be a nice time to catch up.
I would be remiss, Vivek, if I didn't ask you about India. I'm going to get you out of here on this question. Obviously, sure. the world's attention on India right now, as it is absolutely battling this variant of COVID. How is the Polkadex
Not in a good way.
Not in a good way, no. Obviously, you're there. You're in India. I imagine, is most of the Polkadex team in India as well?
Yeah, just the 3 of us. Maybe 4, one more developer. That's it. The rest of the team is all over the place. We don't call it just one region.
Right.
We have at least 10 countries in the team.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, that's how we all work. That's how we all work right now. Right. That's our team here at Morning Invest as well.
The 3 founders and 1 developer is from India.
So how is your community there at Polkadex working to try to help? I know there's been some things that you guys have been doing to try to help the situation.
Many ways, actually. As part of the the recent fundraise, we tried to give whatever we could, because it's not a big amount, but from our side, we tried to donate a small amount to the community. And we personally, I'm part of the local Rotary Club, and so we're trying to do things that we can from here in India. So it's a very bad situation, but we are all doing in our whatever small capacity that we can to help and try and overcome this, right? It's a hard few months from here. We need to survive.
Right. Well, our thoughts are with all of you there in India, and anyone watching from India right now who's dealing with this horrible outbreak there. So our thoughts are with you guys. And we want to thank you, Vivek, for joining us this morning, taking some time out. It's a very busy week, and it's a very busy spring. It's a very busy summer for you guys. So thank you for sharing your roadmap, what you guys are looking to do, and the bright future for Polkadex. I really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you so much, Clayton, for having me on the show. Look forward to having more of like this. Okay.
My pleasure. I look forward to talking with you in a year. We'll see that 100 million target.